Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's What's for Dinner video, I'll be sharing with you what meals we had this past week. Our dinners were easy to make, budget friendly, and delicious. So if you're looking for some weeknight meal ideas for your family, just keep watching. For dinner this first night, I tried a new recipe for spicy honey garlic salmon bites. I saw this on One Stop Chop's Instagram, so I'll have that link down in the description box below. I'm first going to get started out, though, by making some gochujang roasted carrots. I'll also have this recipe linked down in the description box below for you. I've got the oven preheating to 400 degrees. I've lined a baking dish with some aluminum foil, spread it with some cooking spray. Now the recipe says for you to take carrots and to peel them and then split them in half lengthwise, but I cut them into smaller pieces just so that they would cook faster. You can do whichever you prefer. Next, we're going to make the glaze for the carrots. So into a bowl, I'm going to add in some olive oil. That's what I've got. You can use vegetable oil, avocado oil, whatever you prefer. Then I'm going to add some sesame oil and soy sauce. Next, I'm adding in the gochujang. Now, if you're not familiar with this, it's like a Korean chili paste. I found this just at my local grocery store, so you could check there, or you could, I'm sure, order it off of Amazon. Now, it does have some kick to it, so if you're someone sensitive to spice, maybe start with half the amount the recipe calls for, and then you can always taste and add more. Once I've added that, I'm going to add in my honey, the rice vinegar, water, and I'm going to give that a really good mix. I'm going to drizzle the sauce over the carrots, and then the recipe did not say to do this, but I added just a tiny bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to give that a really good toss, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven. Now, I baked these for, I believe, about 25 or 30 minutes. You just want to cook them until they are tender. How long that takes really just depends on how thick your carrots are and how long it takes them to get tender. For the salmon, you will need some skinless salmon. Now, I bought the salmon with the skin already removed, but you can, of course, buy salmon with the skin and remove it yourself. So in this bowl, I've got the salmon. I just cubed them up into kind of bite-sized pieces. We're going to add some oil, and then I'm using the seasonings that he suggested. I'm sure you could use whatever seasonings you prefer. We've got some smoked paprika, chili powder, Tony Chachere's, and then he suggested an all-purpose seasoning. I wasn't really sure what he meant by that, so I just used Badia Complete. I've got some oil heating up in a skillet over about medium-high heat. While it was doing that, I just tossed the salmon with the oil and spices. Once the skillet's hot, we are going to add in the salmon bites, and you want to sear them on pretty much all sides until the salmon is done to your liking. How long it takes really just depends on how big your salmon is and how you like your salmon cooked, if you like it well done or a little more on the rare side. But no matter if you like it well or not, it shouldn't take more than just a few minutes. Once the salmon is brown to my liking, I'm going to remove it from the pan, and I wiped out most of the oil. Once I've done that, we're going to add in the butter. Now, I have turned the heat down quite a bit on this. I think I've got it like down on medium-low. I'm adding in the garlic. I'm going to give that a whisk and cook that for maybe about 30 seconds or so, and then we're going to add in the hot honey. Now, if you don't have hot honey on hand, because it can be a little bit pricey, you can just use regular honey and add in some red pepper flakes or a little cayenne pepper. Next, we're going to add in some soy sauce, and as you see, as I did that, I splashed it all in the pan, so I figured what was splashed in the pan was what I needed, so I poured the rest back in the bottle. We're going to add a little bit of fresh lemon juice. I whisked everything together, and then we're going to add in the gochujang. And again, start with a little bit. If you're someone sensitive to heat, you can always add a little more. So I whisked that in, and then I gave this a taste, and it was just a little on the higher end of spice. I mean, it wasn't too spicy for me, but it was just kind of on that line. So I added in just like maybe a half a tablespoon of honey. I whisked that in, and then you're just going to simmer this for a couple minutes until it gets thick. At that point, I'm going to add in my salmon and give it a gentle toss. And then once the salmon is glazed, this just takes a minute or two. It's done. While I was making dinner, I went into the freezer to grab something, and I saw this box of chicken spring rolls from Trader Joe's. Figured it would go great with this meal, so I'm just going to cook these up in the air fryer. To go along with the salmon, I have this frozen brown rice. This is from Trader Joe's. I need to use it up, so I'm going to cook it according to the package instructions. All right, here are the plates. So I laid down some of the brown rice, added those salmon bites, and then sprinkled some sesame seeds over top. We had a little bit of yum yum sauce left over from the hibachi the previous week, so I drizzled a little bit of that over. And then right before we ate, I forgot to do it before the picture, I did add some green onions. That gives a nice freshness and a little crunch. And a quick note, for the salmon bites recipe, I used about half the amount of salmon, but I used the amounts for the full sauce the recipe called for, because I knew we'd want to drizzle that extra sauce over our rice, and it was delicious. It was so good. And then we've got the roasted carrots. Again, I garnished those with some sesame seeds, those chicken spring rolls, and then I had some of the Trader Joe's Thai sweet chili sauce in my fridge, and so I just served that with the spring rolls, and this dinner was delicious. That salmon was so good. The glaze had so much flavor. Those carrots were delicious, and of course you can't go wrong with spring rolls, right? But this was a yummy dinner. For dinner the next night, I made us a couple salads. So for Gary, I did a Copycat Panera Citrus Asian Crunch Chicken Salad. That is a mouthful, but I'll be showing how I made this in an upcoming video, so keep an eye out for that. For myself, I made, it's called a Ninja Bomb Salad. I've shared this before on my channel. I'll link that video down below. So here in Nashville, there is a restaurant called Phat Bites, and they're kind of like a deli, but like a funky deli. They've been on diners, drive-ins, and dives before, and they make this salad. But I don't get over there very often, and so I've tried to recreate it myself at home. It is, sounds maybe weird, but it is delicious. So that was our dinner this night. For dinner the next night, I made sheet pan shrimp fajitas. I didn't really follow a recipe for this, but I'll kind of walk you through what I did. And y'all, I apologize. I know that really in today's video, the only recipe that I actually showed you me kind of making was the first one. Just to be completely honest with you, this was a rough week for me. I was really struggling with anxiety and depression. And to be quite honest, like just what I did in this video was really all I could make myself do. So I do apologize for that. Next week I'll try to walk you through more recipes, but like I said, let me show you what I did. So for the fajitas, this is what I'm going to use. I've got a bag of shrimp. These have the tail on. I'm going to remove them. If you don't want to use shrimp, you could use chicken. I would just suggest you cut it into thin strips. And then for the veggies, again, was on the struggle bus this day. Didn't really feel like chopping them up, but I had this bag of roasted bell peppers and onions that I got at Trader Joe's a while back. I really needed to be using that up. So I'm going to do that. And then I've got a packet of fajita seasoning. I've got the oven preheating to 425 degrees. I took a baking sheet. I added the shrimp, the vegetables. I drizzled some oil over it and then added that fajita seasoning. Gave it a good toss. I popped this in the oven and I cooked it for about 8 minutes. Pulled it out, kind of stirred everything together and popped it back in for maybe another 4 or 5 minutes. With the shrimp, you just want to cook it until the shrimp is done. If you were cooking chicken, make sure your chicken hits at least 165 degrees. Now, when I make our homemade dog food, I love using these sweet potatoes that I get from Walmart. They're frozen, and I love them because it's the perfect size for the dogs, and I don't have to thaw them or anything. I can just pop them in with the dog food while I'm making it, and, they warm right up. But I've been wondering how they would turn out roasted either in the oven or the air fryer, so I decided to try it tonight. Here are the other things that I'm going to use for the sweet potatoes. I've got some oil, salt and pepper, and for the seasonings, use whatever you like. I'm going to do some garlic powder, cumin, and smoked paprika. So in this bowl here, I've just got the sweet potatoes, and I didn't thaw these or anything. I just popped them in the bowl frozen, added the oil, added the seasonings to taste, and then I placed these into the air fryer basket. I cooked these at 400 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes. I did shake it a couple times during the process, and they actually turned out pretty good. They were a little small, like they're the perfect size for the dogs, but I felt like for us, they're a little bit on the small side. But they were still good. It was kind of like eating like hash browns, if that makes sense, which there's nothing wrong with that, but just kind of keep that in mind. And then for the fajitas, just serve them on some warmed up tortillas with the toppings of our choice. And this was a super Super quick and easy dinner to make, and it really did not use a whole lot of dishes at all, which was perfect. All right, so dinner the next night was off a meal plan. Gary wasn't really feeling well. I don't know if he had like a stomach bug or what, but he just was not in the mood to eat. And again, I was kind of struggling, so I didn't really feel like doing a lot. I was digging through the freezer and pantry, and I found this little bag of cooked meat. I didn't know at the time, though, whether it was turkey, hamburger, or what. But I found this box of Hamburger Helper in my pantry that I needed to use up, so I thought, hey, I'll make that. So I added that meat to my skillet, and as it started to warm up, I could smell it, and I could tell, nope, breakfast sausage. So I was like, well, I have some leftover canned biscuits. I just made some Grand's biscuits like a couple days before this for breakfast. And I thought, I'll turn this into biscuits and gravy. So I warmed up the biscuits. I made some just sausage gravy. Because the sausage was already cooked, I added it to the skillet. Once it got warmed up, I added butter to account for not having the fat, and then just made my gravy like I normally do. I've shared that before. I'll link that below. And so, yeah, that's all I had for dinner. It was biscuits and gravy. It was easy. I used up a couple things that I had on hand, but it was really comforting. For dinner the next night, I made Copycat, Logan's, Roadhouse, Santa Fe, Tilapia. I've mentioned this a few times before on my channel. I think I've shared it a few times before, but this is a dish that Logan's Roadhouse used to have years ago. They took it off the menu. They've since added a tilapia dish, but it's not the same that it used to be. And it was like my favorite thing to order when we went there, so I've tried to recreate it at home. I don't follow a recipe for this. I don't have a recipe for it. I just have recreated it based on the menu description from Logan's and what I remember it to be. So first up, for the Chipotle Ranch, you can of course use a bottled Chipotle Ranch dressing. I have some semi-homemade ranch dressing in my fridge that I needed to use up. So I'm going to add that along with a little bit of Chipotle and adobo with some fresh lime juice to a little blender, and then give that a whiz and make my own Chipotle Ranch. Just add enough Chipotle and lime juice to your taste. Now for the black bean corn salsa, I've got a can of black beans. I'm going to rinse and drain those. I have a can of Mexi corn, which is basically just corn and peppers together. I've got some fresh lime juice, some oil, cilantro, and then I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. So just, like I said, drained and rinsed the black beans, drained the corn, added that to a bowl, added some chopped cilantro to taste, drizzled a little olive oil, lime juice, seasoned it to taste with salt and pepper, and then I'm going to let it hang out while I finish the rest of dinner. To season up the tilapia, you can really use whatever you like. I like to do Tony Chachere's and then some Auntie Nono's seafood seasoning. I do have a discount code for Auntie Nono's. If you're interested, they have all kinds of seasonings. I will have my link down in the description box below for you. And then I've got some fresh lime juice. I've got the oven preheating to 425 degrees. I sprayed a baking dish with some cooking spray. I seasoned both sides of the tilapia with the Auntie Nono seafood seasoning and the Tony Chachere's. And then I added a little bit of oil, rubbed the tilapia, and then sprinkled it with a little bit of the lime juice. I baked this for about 12 minutes or so. You just want to bake it until the tilapia starts to flake with a fork. So for the sides, I did some baked sweet potatoes. Just washed the sweet potatoes, pierced them with a fork a couple times. I cooked these in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 20-25 minutes on one side, gave them a flip, cooked them another 20-25 minutes until they were tender. And then I just did some quick zucchini. Cut the zucchini into sticks, toss it with some olive oil, and then some of the Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse seasoning. And I cooked those in the air fryer at 400 degrees for just about 6 or 7 minutes. Here are the plates. So we've got the zucchini, the sweet potatoes. I added a little bit of butter, some brown sugar, and cinnamon to our sweet potatoes. That's just how we like them. And then for the tilapia, you lay down a piece of the tilapia, add some of that corn and black bean salsa, add a drizzle of that ranch dressing, and then add some Santa Fe seasoned tortilla strips on top, and chef's kiss. So good. I love this meal. It is delicious. It's quick and easy to put together, and it's actually really filling with the tilapia and with the black beans and corn salsa. It's just delicious. So for dinner the next night, I call this a summer veggie plate. I don't know what else to call it, but it's just a throwback to when I was growing up with my grandparents. Pretty much every night for dinner was whatever she had on hand, my grandmother. But especially during the summertime, whatever vegetables were fresh from the garden, whatever we had pickled or canned or put up that day is what we had for dinner. And I'd really been craving that. I was hoping to get to a fruit stand to be able to get some fresh produce, and I didn't make it. And so I bought the produce at just Kroger, which, I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it wasn't the taste that I was wanting. If you've had like a fresh homegrown tomato or fresh cantaloupe, you know what I mean. There's a huge difference in taste and texture from what you can get at the grocery store. But it's fine. It fed us. But just this whole day was kind of frustrating. Like I said, I was struggling, number one. Number two, like everything was going wrong. And then we were really, really super busy trying to get stuff done. And it was like 8 o'clock at night when I was trying to get dinner done. So I was flustered. But anyway, it all turned out. It's okay. Let me show you what I did real quick. All right, so first up, I have really been craving white beans, and so I made some of those. I make them just like I do my pinto beans, which I've shared before. I'll link that video down below. Basically, rinse and sort the beans, add them to a pot with a ham hock. That's my preferred way of seasoning them. If I don't have a ham hock, I'll use like bacon or country ham. I add water and then just simmer the beans until they're tender, which normally takes a couple hours, and then I season it to taste with salt and pepper. Now, like I said, on this particular day, we were eating so much later, and I'd been busy, so I'd forgotten to keep an eye on the beans, and they got way overcooked, which, I mean, I guess it's better for them to be overcooked than undercooked, but it was like eating a bowl of refried beans, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but nonetheless, it worked. And then, so I was going to make homemade cornbread. But again, we were pushing like 8 o'clock, and I was like, I just got to get dinner done. And so I had this package of cornbread mix. So I'm going to bake that up according to package instructions. And then I really wanted my mom's like cream corn, but again, didn't get to the fruit stand, and I forgot to buy fresh corn at Kroger. But I had a can of cream corn in my pantry, and so I'm just going to use that. It'll be fine. All right, so for the cornbread, I made it according to the package instructions. I don't know what I did wrong. I mean, it was just mix water or milk with the package, pour it in a pan, bake it. And I baked it in the size of pan that it said to do it, but this was like the world's thinnest cornbread. I don't know if you can tell. You'll see in the picture in just a second of our plates. And I mean, it was like crazy thin. And then for the cream corn, I just took a can of the cream style corn, a can of regular corn, added it to this little saucepan. I drained the regular corn, by the way. Added a little bit of pepper and just maybe like a half a tablespoon of butter, and just warmed it up while the cornbread and everything was baking. All right, here's a picture of our plate. So we've got some beans, some of the cornbread, the corn, and then I sliced up some tomato and cucumber and cantaloupe. And then for Gary's plate, we went somewhere here recently, I can't remember where, and he'd got some pickled okra, and so I served that to him. I don't see how the boy eats that. I just can't even, like, just pulling it out of the jar and it's slimy, ugh, nasty. But he loved it. But I'm glad he enjoyed it. And then I added some hot chow chow to his beans. If you're not familiar with chow chow, it's like a southern type of relish. And so that was our dinner this night. It wasn't bad. It wasn't what I was wanting, what I was craving, but I'm grateful we had the food. I'm grateful I was able to make it. But here in the next week or two, I am going to try again, do a redo, and actually get like farm fresh produce and make the homemade cornbread and everything, so I get that craving. But again, like I said, I'm grateful we had this. It was a comforting dinner, and it was still good. Even if it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, it was still good. For the last dinner in this week's video, we got some burritos from Moe's. We were out running errands. We had like a Target pickup order, a Bath and Body Works pickup order. We needed like to get the car washed, just doing different errands. And so I just placed the order on the app. We picked it up and then ate when we got home. We both got their home wrecker burritos, and then it comes with chips and salsa. I don't love their salsa personally. And they forgot mine, which is fine because, like I said, I don't prefer it anyway. But Gary loves their salsa. And then I got a side of queso to add to my burrito. I know you can get queso inside the burrito, but I'm weird. I like to add a little drizzle of the queso as I'm eating the burrito. But that was our dinner this night, quick and easy and yummy. And we just sat and ate our burritos, and Gary got caught up on 60 Days In. And that was our dinner this night. All right, that is it for this week's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. I hope you got some dinner ideas from it. If you did like it, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.